This is by far my favorite way to prepare salmon. It makes for a quick, easy, and delicious meal to enjoy any day of the week. One of the most common mistakes made with salmon is overcooking the fish. However, if you follow my tips and tricks, I guarantee you will end up with the most tender, juicy, delicious salmon fillet. So without wasting any more time, let's get into how I as a home cook make my specialty green goddess salmon. Now here's my ultimate tip for the juiciest salmon fillets. And really, this trick works well for all types of meat, whether that be poultry, beef, or even pork. The trick is all in what is called a dry brine. This is without a doubt the best way to get a magnificent restaurant quality piece of protein on your plate. A dry brine is typically a mixture of salt, sugar, and other seasonings that are generously sprinkled on a cut of meat hours ahead of time before the meat is cooked. Since I am going to top the salmon with a bright and flavorful green goddess dressing, I am going to keep my brine very simple today. After patting my fillets dry and cutting them to the size I want, I am going to sprinkle them with a generous amount of kosher salt on both sides. As a side note, these are the belly cuts of the salmon, which I highly recommend using. These cuts come from the thickest part of the fish. And I did scale the skin side before salting, but that step is completely optional. Or if you would rather, you can get these fillets skinless. It's all really just a matter of if you like skin on your salmon or not. I'm going to pop these into the refrigerator loosely covered with aluminum foil overnight, anywhere from 8 to 48 hours. This is going to give the salt lots of time to penetrate the meat, which ensures a tasty bite all the way down to the center. And believe it or not, it is also going to help give me a wonderfully juicy fillet at the end. So be sure to prep your salmon the night before you cook it. The next thing I prep the night before is the green goddess dressing. This dressing is the true showstopper of the dish. I start with chopping some green onion as well as my favorite trio of fresh seafood herbs. This consists of fresh parsley, fresh dill, and fresh tarragon. Anytime I cook seafood, there's a good chance that at least 2 of these herbs will find their way into the dish, if not all 3. I throw these herbs in with mayonnaise, along with capers with some caper brine, rice vinegar, Dijon mustard, and some garlic. Blend together until you get a smooth texture and this beautiful green color. This is one of those sauces that tastes better the longer you let sit. So, I highly recommend making it the night before and popping it in the refrigerator overnight until you are ready to use it. Now that we have everything prepped and it is the next day, all we need to do is put it all together and cook the salmon. The only way to screw up salmon is to overcook it. You never want to serve a dry, chalky brick of a salmon to anybody. That is bad cooking technique, and let's be honest, it is also just plain rude. So be very careful with your cook times and your temperatures here. I always highly recommend investing in an instant read meat thermometer, especially if you are a brand new home cook. The cook I like to aim for on salmon is medium rare to medium. I would not recommend going past a medium cook, because that is where you can enter chalky brick territory. Fortunately, dry brining our salmon overnight will also help to prevent us from reaching this territory. I am looking for temperatures between 125 degrees and about 135 degrees. Preheat your broiler and move your top rack so that it is about 8 inches below the heat. While that is preheating, I am going to lay my fillets down on a well-oiled and foiled sheet tray. I coat the salmon generously with the green goddess dressing. Don't forget to cover the sides and be sure to leave no bald spots. Pop those into the broiling oven and leave the oven door open so that you can carefully watch these cook. This will only take about 3 to 7 minutes depending on how thick your cuts of salmon are. Once you start to see several of these lovely caramelized brown spots form, you can cut the heat from the broiler. Now we just need to finish cooking the rest of the fish. Turn the oven down to 350 degrees and close the door. Different cuts of salmon will differ on how long they need to cook at this stage depending on their thickness. I would recommend periodically checking your temperature about every 3 to 4 minutes until they reach the desired temp. For reference, my fillets went for about 5 minutes and reached 133 degrees when I pulled them. And now time for a little mini bonus recipe. You may have noticed I had these fancy coral reef-like chips on my plate. Those are called Squid Ink Coral Lace Tuiles, and they are super easy to make. So here's a quick bit on them. In a bowl, I combine 180 grams of water, 20 grams of all-purpose flour, and 10 grams of squid ink. Whisk that until smooth, and in your smallest non-stick pan, preheat the pan with some vegetable oil on medium heat. Once the pan is nice and hot, ladle in your batter. Remember, you are adding water to hot oil, so this is going to cause a lot of splattering. Immediately back away from the pan and just let it do its thing for a few minutes. Adjust your heat between medium-low and medium as needed. Once your tuile have completely stopped bubbling and have a matte finish to them, carefully pull them out of the pan and allow to drain on either a cooling rack or some paper towels. Let those cool down, and now you have these cool lacy chips that add an interesting texture and look to any dish. And that is my way of making my specialty dish I call Green Goddess Salmon. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.